Hello there, I'm Tanya Khazanov, and you are listening to Human and Holy. Today, I'm going to be talking about a spiritual experience of time and how the Torah offers these resources that redefines the way that we can experience time in our lives. I have really been struck, especially since becoming a mother, how elastic time truly is. And there were times or moments or experiences in my life where I felt that I didn't really have the time for certain things that were really expansive to my spirit. An example of that would be like speaking to a friend on the phone. It felt like I didn't have time to put that into my day. But then I would notice how if I spent that half an hour connecting with a friend on the phone, all the tasks of my day went so much smoother, and things that could have taken me so much longer were shrunk into a smaller amount of space, and I was actually able to make more of the smaller amount of time that I had. So just like seeing this record in my own life, how time became elastic, how time was not as neat as I thought it was. We often, when it comes to like time management, everyone speaks about time blocking and really knowing how long things take and then putting it into your schedule and time blocking in that way so you can really maximize every single moment and receive the most that you can from it. But I think the Jewish perspective on time is very different, which is an experience of time, which is more about the inherent experience within each moment and not just about how much we can get done over time, but also about how we actually experience and live within the time that we have in the current moment and experience. A lot of our time management or experience of time is actually focusing on the finite nature of time in our days and lives. And we are trying to cram in as much as we possibly can with the finite amount of time and energy that we have. But the experience of connecting with time through a spiritual lens actually looks at each moment as an infinite experience and shifts away from seeing time as a finite thing to seeing the present moment as one with infinite potential and an infinite experience for us to have. I want to bring an idea from Zaken, which is a Hasidic discourse from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which speaks about the experience of time that we have in creating a dwelling place for God in this world. We are tasked to show up in this world in a way where we interact with the matter of the world, where we interact with things and with space and elevate it to a higher level. But in this Maamer, in this Hasidic discourse, the Lubavitcher Rebbe speaks about how we are not just called to elevate space, but we are also called to elevate time. And if we don't have both, then our lives are incomplete. So an example of that would be, why don't I just do 5,000 mitzvos one day and then do none the next day? If it's just about getting as many mitzvos done as possible, then why do I have to do mitzvos every single day of my life? And the response that's given in this Maamer, we're not just seeking quantity of mitzvot in this world. We are seeking to elevate time itself. And in order to elevate time itself, we are being called to actually spend our days doing mitzvot, to actually elevate time itself by infusing it with this deeper purpose and meaning. There's a couple things that I want to talk about here when it comes to our relationship with time. One is that we live in a capitalistic society and we always hear that time is money, and we are all trying to squeeze in as much productivity from time. We are trying to extract as much energy and money and resources from each moment as we possibly can. So we want to get more efficient, faster, do more in the little time that we have. In this shift to seeing time, the renewal of time, so every single moment of time, as an opportunity to do a mitzvah, we see a completely different paradigm or experience that we could have of time, which is that instead of trying to extract something out of it, money, resources, energy, we are trying to sink within it to show up for an act of connection with the Creator in that moment. A mitzvah within time specifically, like showing up to do a mitzvah specifically within a certain time, meaning daily, is not trying to extract anything from the moment, is not trying to gain resources or energy. It's not about doing it faster or more efficiently. It's about actually sinking into the experience, the opportunity in that moment to connect with Hashem and to draw infinite energy into this world. And that only asks of the present moment. It only asks us to fill right now with goodness. And what's so interesting is that you could look at mitzvos as being productive. You could say a mitzvah is an action. Actions are productive. So you're saying I should just fill my time with mitzvah. That could cause me to have anxiety about how much time do I have left. But the definition of a mitzvah, which is an act of connection with the Creator, is not about developing a sense of self, about who I am, about how I spend my time. It's about actually filling my moments with infinite energy. It's about inhabiting my moments fully with connection, as opposed to trying to extract something from it for later. And a beautiful experience that I have of this in my own life is on Jewish holidays, when, first of all, time stops and operates differently on Jewish holidays. I feel like I get a new body, new mind, new heart. Like, it's new human, okay? It's holiday human. And if you have ever experienced a full Shabbos or a Jewish holiday, then you might know exactly what I'm talking about. But I always marvel at the experience on a Tuesday afternoon when it's a Jewish holiday and I'm walking down the street and everyone else is coming back from work, going to work. It's a regular day. It's Tuesday. I know what Tuesday feels like, but it is not Tuesday for me. My experience of time is altered in that moment. I am just being asked to show up with Hashem in that experience. And in the holiday, you really feel how the infinite call that is being asked of us to connect to Hashem through the framework of halacha, which creates that holiday construct for us, is actually asking us to just exist within this moment for the sake of the mitzvah. So yes, I'm acting, I'm showing up, I have cooked, I have prepared, I've gotten my nice clothing ready, I'm going to shul, I'm doing things. But what I'm really being called to do is to just fully inhabit this time as a moment and experience of connection. Now, obviously, holidays and Shabbos have more of a restful energy where you could really feel how the construct of the mitzvah and halacha allows us to fully inhabit our time in that unique way that you wouldn't be able to access without the halachos surrounding it. But you even see it when it comes to like a mitzvah like sitting in the sukkah. There's another mitzvah that literally just asks for presence within the mitzvah. And you sit within the construct, and you literally, the reason why I'm bringing this example is because I think you like literally sit within halacha. You sit within this mitzvah construct that is literally so detailed and defined, how high the walls are, exactly what everything is made of. It's like a very defined framework. And then we're just asked, take your time and just sit in this sukkah. Just be here with Hashem. You're not extracting anything for the future. You're just being here with Hashem. You're within this hut. And that construct of time that we experience, where for days we are just spending literally like sitting in God's hug, is provided for us by the framework of halacha, by the invitation of mitzvot, that literally changes our experience of time over and over again. Now, you really see this with Jewish holidays and in this experience of really being within Jewish holidays and how it shapes our experience of time. Like, I think Shabbos and holidays, we really experience how the halacha shapes and changes our experience literally of time. Like, time seems to just like slow on those days. But I think there's an invitation for us to experience every single mitzvah as that opportunity to enter into a construct of time that is infinite, to enter into a moment of connection with Hashem that is not productivity based, that is not about making money, that is not about getting ahead in life, that is not about developing a certain identity, but is just about inhabiting it fully with our full selves and a full connection with Hashem in this moment. It's an invitation for complete presence, complete expansion of time, totally dropping into this current moment, and to experience almost like a micro experience of what we experience on Shabbos and holidays, where you can really see how the day and the framework and the halacha creates a new construct of time for us, and to allow ourselves to drop into that in other experiences of mitzvot too. Because we do live very busy lives, which take a lot out of us, and many of us are trying to manage our time in effective ways. But imagine if your Judaism and your experience of mitzvot could be a reprieve from that endless productivity, if it could be a reprieve of that extraction of resources from everything in our lives, and could instead be an opportunity to reshape how we experience time just for a single moment. And I think that I really experience how just experiencing Shabbos once a week shapes my experience of time during the week, because I always have this memory of what it really feels like to be present and tapped into my own psyche and heart and consciousness and the people around me, and to move more slowly, that I can tap into throughout the week. And even if I don't necessarily experience Shabbos energy throughout the week, I like hold it as a resource and a well of hope for what could be in my own experience and what is coming recurringly every single week. Prayer could give us that in our lives. The moment of giving tzedakah in the morning could give us that in our lives. Every single time we make a blessing, we could literally suspend time to just completely inhabit it and connect to something infinite, and to drop the productivity measure that we often live within for so much of our lives, and to just embrace the infinite act of connection with the divine. And because we are still within time, when we do kind of step above time, we are elevating time, which is part of what makes this world a home for God. We are not just asked to elevate our minds and our hearts and our worlds and the actual physical things that we interact with, but also to elevate time itself, because time is a creation too. I want to touch on the point about doing mitzvahs within the framework of time and space, how that creates garments for the soul in the world to come to experience divinity. We are very physical beings. The world to come is an expression of divine revelation in this world. And what Chassidus teaches us is that our experiences and choices in this world can sensitize us and make us more receptive to divine revelation in the world to come and also in this world as well, which is that mitzvos refine our receptors to divine revelation both in this world and the next. And it is not just through interacting with mitzvot and doing what God asks us to with our hands and our bodies, but it is actually through spending our days, like spending time, literally, elevating time itself, that allows us to truly create those garments, to truly create those receptors that will allow us to fully receive divine revelation. In Saving Time by Jenny Odell, she talks about how we experience the passing of time and what our records are of the passing of time. And for many of us, our records could be accomplishments or, again, productivity or ways that we have spent our time. But she argues that maybe instead of focusing on what we have received from time, we could look at nature and look at the rings of a tree trunk. And the rings of a tree trunk tell us how long the tree has lived, and to see how weather has transformed the natural world around us, and to allow that to be our record of time, to allow the way that the world has been shifted by time to be our record of time, to look at the people around us and to see their evolution and to allow that to be our record of time. And I think a lot of us instinctively actually experience this, which is that we feel the passage of time very viscerally through the seasons, through seeing people we love getting older, through seeing ourselves getting older in the mirror, through seeing our children growing. We see the passage of time in the way that time simply shifts people and shifts nature. And when you look at a tree and the way the rings develop, you can see how this tree has aged and time has passed. And now imagine if our experience of the passage of time within our spiritual framework is to see how mitzvos, how infinite acts of connection to Hashem have changed us, have shifted us, have refined us, to allow that to be our mark of the passage of time. Because it is specifically mitzvos done every day that, carves out that hole in the rock, the water like slowly dripping on a person. It's not just the amount, it's over time. It's the fact that we show up every single day to connect with Hashem. This is what creates our receptors for divinity in a world to come and also within this world. I would love to experience the passage of time, one in that very intuitive way where I could just see the weather and the seasons and the evolution in the lives and faces of the people that I love and care about, and to also see within myself my own spiritual evolution and let my experience of time seeing my own, rings within my own tree trunk, developing over time as I deepen my connection with God through the acts of connection that we do within the construct of time, which is mitzvos, that we actually show up at certain times in certain moments to show up and be connected to God. If the mitzvos are the weather and we allow it to really move through us, we will see how we will move through those seasons and we will become refined and more attuned to divine revelation, which means we become aged and wiser and more connected to the truth of the world through the way that we choose to spend our time. I love thinking about time in this way. I love thinking about the opportunity to really shape how I experience time in my life, how I experience the passage of time, which is something that I see as such a theme in my life, to really experience the passage of time in my own inner shifting in the way that my divine connection and my choices specifically within time itself, are shifting me and allowing me to be more receptive to divine revelation, and to also experience how halacha and mitzvos are really an invitation to step into a new construct of time, where we are not just trying to mine our time for more and more productivity and resources and wealth and accomplishments and ego, but actually to live fully within it, to surrender to the incredible constructs that Jewish law creates for us in the holiday seasons, in daily moments of connection with the divine, that allows us to really surrender to the infinite opportunities inherent within time itself, instead of being swallowed up by the current that we often live within and in our limited experience that we have around time, which is that there's never enough and time is money, and how can we manage it and use it better and more productively, but instead to just really lean into the experience of what mitzvos are inviting us to, which is to have an infinite experience of time itself, of every single moment, and to surrender to those frameworks that are created to suspend us. and shift our experience of time, sometimes for 25-hour periods, as we do weekly on Shabbos, which literally alters the way that we experience the clock itself. It's a redemptive perspective, and for me has completely shifted the way that I experience the notion of time, and also how I allow myself to surrender more fully to the mitzvot, and to really see the incredible gift inherent in those frameworks that halacha seeks to create for us. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week.
אלוקיי זכנינה בתורתך ובמצוותיך לחבר את נשמתי תמיד אליך לחבר תמיד אליך